Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs POSTGAME Podcast. It is early in the morning, and we are up for you right after the game. Cubs pound the Dodgers. You saw that coming. Kyle Hendricks on the mound for the Cubs, and the Cubs offense comes out to back him. 10 runs, 16 hits, I believe, and a win over the Dodgers. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Ryan Herrera with you. We'll talk about the former Dodgers getting the job done today against their old team, Bellinger and Busch. We'll talk about the offense in general. We'll talk about Hendricks and the bullpen. And we may talk a little bit about those new Cubs Hall of Famers. But first, Cody, how you feeling after plenty of runs? If they're going to make us stay up late, at least they can make the game exciting.
Well, first off, I don't like being in the middle on the screen, Sarah, so you can switch me and Ryan. Second off, thank you. That was very quick.
Are you never in the middle?
No, you're always the one in the middle when we do this. If you weren't, then today is the first day where that's going to be a thing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, offense showed up tonight. Nice of the guys to come to work on Monday after taking the weekend off. Credit to them. Yeah, I mean, cool. I'll say this, like, it was good to see Michael Busch break out. He'd been struggling for a while now, and PCA had a good game. Amaya had that, he drove in. I think he drove in 2 on that single he had. They hit 2 homers, including Michael Busch. And Bellinger had a revenge game. I mean, Busch had a revenge game too, but obviously it's always good when you see the offense score runs. I'm just like, we haven't talked since Friday, so I've just been frustrated since Friday, like, whatever. Okay, maybe I'll change my mind if you magically sweep the Dodgers. I won't even, because I've already, like, I don't care about wins and losses anymore. Like, it is what it is. But again, like, it's good to see Michael Busch break out a little bit, and I was happy for Kyle to, at least give them 4 innings. And your narrative, Luke, it fits tonight. Congratulations. Bullpen was good too. So it was a nice stress-free win. And honestly, we just haven't had enough of them. And that's why that we're, 4 games above 500 and, 1% chance to make the playoffs. Like, if we would have had more of these this year,
yeah,
I wouldn't be sitting here with this, like, I don't care tone right now, but, we are where we are. So, yay.
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, it's good to see at a point where, like, the games are very close to not mattering because the playoff odds are so low at this point. You want to just see the guys you've invested as far as, like, your future just continue to take steps forward, have good days. Like you mentioned Busch, but obviously PCA, another guy, 2 for 3, I believe, had a sac fly, scored a run, and, like, had a couple of really nice defensive plays out there. Just that's what you need to see at this point in the year. Like, I'm with you in that. Like, obviously it's nice to see the Cubs win games and stay alive in the standings, but it's so late and such a big hole that not only they have to dig themselves out of, but they also need, like, the Mets and the Braves to just slump pretty badly down the stretch. Again, it just is so just not likely at this point that the main thing, while they're still trying to compete, while they're still trying to win games because they're mathematically alive, you see the guys that they are giving a lot of time that they hope are part of the future go out and have good days. And I think today is that's where you saw it today with some of those guys, especially like Michael Busch. I think before hits today, almost had 5. Having a good day against his former team, Michael Busch revenge game, and like Cody said, he'd been slumping a little bit with the bat. So I was happy to see him have a good day at the plate, because you'd like to see him go into the offseason on a good note. And maybe this is the start of it.
Yeah, the double revenge game. Bellinger and Busch, the former Dodgers, go 6 for 9 with 6 RBI, 2 home runs, a double, and 5 runs scored. And they had a lot of smiles on their faces. They were doing it against their former team. That kind of gave up on both, right? A little bit. But listen, I don't know if the games where you see the offense have anything to do with there's less pressure on these guys now because realistically, as Cody mentioned, 1% chance, like can that be a factor late in the season? Yeah, that's why you don't overvalue guys that just have a good last month of the season. I don't think that's what it is for PCA though, and it's definitely not what it is for Busch. He's been good all season. Now, what is he at? 16, 17 homers?
17.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Mookie Betts has played like 1 month less than he has, but they have the same amount of home runs this season. Now, has Mookie Betts had a better year, even though he's been hurt? Yes. But for a rookie, it's still a really impressive season. I don't think anybody anticipated that Michael Busch's first season with the Cubs, first full season in the majors, would go like this.
Yeah.
That all doesn't necessarily mean that next year will automatically go like this. Just because a guy has one good year doesn't guarantee that the next year's the same.
Sure.
You know that, like Giovanni Soto had a great rookie year. He had a pretty good career after that. Well, you can go on and on with guys that are really good in a rookie year.
Yeah.
That said, everything has gone pretty well since that trade.
Yeah, I think this is the first time since they traded Rizzo that you're like, out of all the first basemen that they've thrown out there over the last 3 years, that you're sitting there like, oh, like they might have their first baseman of the future now, right?
Yeah.
Like even last year, before obviously getting Busch, they were, I don't know, it wasn't like a huge thing, but it was like, oh, maybe they just pay Cody Bellinger to be their first baseman for a while, right? Now you feel like you actually have a guy who comes in his full rookie year and has so far what I think is a really solid year. Like he's gone through his ups and downs, and it's to be expected for a guy really getting acclimated to the big league game for the first time. But on top of just having a overall good offensive year, I think the defense at first base has really opened my eyes. Like he has really improved throughout the year. I think, the fact that he has played third base, second base, like the range, like shouldn't surprise anyone because of a guy that has so much experience around the infield. But that mixing that with just what the first baseman has to do whenever the ball's hit on the ground or whatever, like it's not easy. And to see Busch just getting better, it feels like every game he's getting better and better. Every stretch of games better and better at the defensive side of first base, and that's for me the biggest thing that I'm like, wow, they may have actually found their first baseman of the future, or at least for the next few years. Like that's, for me, that's the biggest key of like, can this guy do it at first base? Not only is he doing it with the bat, I think for the most part, the defense has really come a long way, I think, in just 1 year.
Yeah, especially Cody, because the defense the first month of the season was terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Like we were debating whether it was, am I more worried about Morel? Am I more worried about Seiya? Am I more worried about Busch? And Busch now he's been spectacular. He's done a great job with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still correct, but a few weeks ago I saw he led all National League first baseman in defensive runs saved. I don't know if he still leads, but that's how good he's been to be able to even put himself in that conversation. You could have made the argument he deserved to make the All-Star team over Pete Alonso this year. I know his second half of the season hasn't been nearly as good as his first half, but I mean, again, he's a rookie and you have to have tempered expectations and you have to expect guys to go through slumps, rookie players to go through slumps like that. And, that's why rookie players are supposed to be kind of like those added bonuses, those extremes that if they hit and your guys that you're paying are performing, you can increase your win total by the end of the year higher than maybe what we would have expected. And we kind of saw some of that last year. This year, we've got a lot of the young guys in some ways. We've got a little bit of those extremes, but the guys that we're paying haven't performed enough. And that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that, I mean, for half the season, Busch was the Cubs' most valuable player if you go by WAR. And, I entering the year, I envisioned 20 to 25 homers for this guy, only because I felt like his player type was like Max Muncy. And that's, I mean, has the homers not, like, have they not come like in stretches like Christopher Morel's did when he first came up? I mean, I guess in April when he had that 5-game stretch. But other than that, it hasn't been anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, in year 2, I'd like to see, obviously, would like to see more homers. And I'd like to see, more of a power threat from him in general. But, what he's at 17 now, if he gets, he got a couple of weeks here. If he can get to 20, 21 homers, that'd be awesome. I feel like that'd be great. A great rookie season for him. And with the way he plays defense and the versatility that he has on defense, it seems we feel pretty good about him going into 2025. And it's nice to be able to say that about a certain guy, because there aren't a lot of guys that I'm like fully like, yeah, I feel great about him going into 2025. So at least I have that. And I'm not trying to say that I don't feel good about everyone else. I'm just saying that there's a lot of questions on this roster. And if there's any pro about this entire season, this is as depressing and as frustrating as it's been, finding a first baseman has probably been the best thing that's happened.
Braxton with a super chat, $1.99, saying they hit the ball well away from Wrigley. My final thing on Busch is that I feel more confident that he's the first baseman of the future for the next 3+ years than I am that Paredes is the third baseman of the future. Like, if you ask me which one I feel comfortable with, I feel comfortable with Michael Busch at first base for a couple years. I don't know what third base is. I still don't really know what third base is going to hold next season, the season beyond. Like, I'm sure that's what they're planning on doing, is Paredes is at third, but we'll see. I saw that their number 1 pick was pushed up to AA already, straight out of college, straight to AA today, Cam Smith. So that's impressive.
In relation to Paredes, he did have a good night too. I mean, they scored 10 runs, and I think he played a factor in them winning on Sunday as well. So I know it hasn't been pretty here in the second half of the season overall, and weirdly, and to the fans' credit, the ones who didn't like the trade to begin with didn't think that he'd be able to hit at Wrigley. And so far at this point, his numbers on the road have been way better than they have been at Wrigley Field. And again, that was something a lot of fans questioned. And so it's only it's not even 2 months. It's not even 2 months sample size. So whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think the pros of Paredes have been the defense is better than Morel's, but it's not Gold Glove defense. It's just fine. He had a nice barehanded play at third base tonight. I'll give him that much. But they obviously need him to
games too.
Yeah, but the biggest thing though is that they need him to hit, and he's had games where he has, and he's had games where he's looked awful. On Friday, he looked awful. He was atrocious on Friday. All right, so like they need more consistency from him. And they need him to look more like last season Paredes in 2025, maybe even first half Paredes of this year. I don't know what was going on with him from the beginning of July up until all the way up to now, I guess. It's just not been consistent. It hasn't been the Paredes of last season. And Luke, like you just said, like we don't know what Busch is going to do next year as much as we feel good about it. We could say the same thing about Paredes. The only thing that gives me any hope is the fact that he's 25. It's not like he's 32, so he still has youth on his side. And so they need the offense from him because he plays like a position that you in general get power from. And he's hit 30 home runs in his career. So that like in 2025 for third base with Paredes, like he's got to be more consistent. That's to me, that's the biggest thing for him.
All right, we're going to talk more about the pitching in this game, maybe a little bit more about the offense and the new Cubs Hall of Famers. But first, Ryan's going to tell us about our friends at Game Time.
Luke, I love going to live events. Like you guys were all there on Friday for the Anthony Rizzo return. I wish I was there. I mean, obviously I would have been working, but like I couldn't imagine what it was like being in the stands for that return. A return 3 years in the making. You guys were obviously there, like I said, and you got your tickets with Game Time. But I got to tell you about Game Time's new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Like I'm looking right here at next week, Cubs Oakland at Wrigley. Very, very cheap pricing, obviously, but there's just so many options to choose from at Wrigley. I click the Game Time Picks button, and it filters out all the fluff, breaks it down to a few deals that I would like to do. That's a really cool new feature because now you're not sorting through all these different tickets or different seats. It filters it down and gets you ones that really stick out for you. One of my other favorite app features, obviously, the seat views, where if you click on a specific seat, if you're at a place, you've never been to Wrigley Field, you don't know exactly what your seat view is going to be. You click on that, it shows you exactly where you're looking from your seat at Wrigley Field at a Cubs game. It's one of my favorite parts about the app, and I think that really helps take the app's interface up a notch. I also love the all-in pricing, so you toggle that feature, shows you the total up front. You'll have no surprise fees at checkout. Makes it easy to know just exactly how much you'll owe if you want to choose tickets to a specific event. Game Time gives you the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time has ticket coverage, so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Who?
Game time.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in like I did tonight. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 instantly. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. And then the entire month of September, we've been pushing this. 1 Caleb Williams passing yard. It's an automatic win, basically. I know it looked tough on Sunday, but he still got over 1. Okay. It was tough on Sunday, but he still got more than 1. He still got the 1. Okay.
He got the 1.
And he got it pretty quick too. He got it pretty quick. I'm pretty sure he got on the first drive.
4 or 5 more. He got 4 or 5 bonus yards.
Oh yeah.
But the entire month of September, every NFL Sunday the Bears play, you can put the free entry in for Caleb Williams to just get 1 passing yard. It's an automatic win to put into your entry on your card to add with the rest, like Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown like I did on Sunday, or Deebo Samuel to score a touchdown like I did today, or Breece Hall to score a touchdown like I did today. So that's 4 weeks of free W's. All right. I won $200 on PrizePicks tonight. I had Breece Hall to score. I had George Kittle less than receiving yards. I had Deebo Samuel more than receiving yards, and Aaron Rodgers less than passing yards.
Yes.
So I got to go against Aaron Rodgers and I won. So that was extra sweet. So you too can win like me for one night. I normally don't win, but for one night I did. So for one day I am awesome. And you too can be awesome for at least one day, or maybe more, because you're probably better than me, by downloading the PrizePicks app today and using code CHGO to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CHGO on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game, brother.
Hey, by the way, I saw Hulk Hogan got married again. within the last couple days, right?
I'm looking forward to that Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix.
Kyle Hendricks to start tonight, and then you had Keegan Thompson, Drew Smiley, Sean Armstrong, Tyson Miller, and Ethan Roberts. Listen, I don't know what to make of the bullpen. Obviously, there's been tons of injuries this season, and they didn't have a closer. We know that. You just beat the Dodgers with a bunch of pitchers that I wouldn't expect would beat the Dodgers. I'm just going to put it that way. Like Keegan Thompson, hey, you know what I've been saying. You knew I was going to say it. The second it got through the fourth inning, you got to have a guy warming up, and then they got a guy on, and they didn't take him out.
I will agree.
Do you know what Keegan Thompson's OPS against lefties is this year?
Do you know what Kyle Hendricks numbers are third time through the order? Let's take a look at them. They showed it right on marquee.
But hold on. You can't bring that up given the fact that Cody and I have both talked about the third time through the order. We talked about that when he got taken out of the rotation the first time.
You just asked me if I knew what Keegan Thompson's numbers were against lefties.
You said put Keegan Thompson
numbers. Third time through the order when he's facing Mookie Betts and the likes of three of the best hitters in baseball.
Wait, your tweet specifically was you put Keegan Thompson in the game, it was still 4-0. Don't take into account that he would have been facing Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he gives up a solo.
He may have been. I don't know. Maybe it was past Shohei Ohtani at that point. But there was a couple lefties coming up for sure.
The only way we can actually compromise on this argument is I agree that going into the fifth inning, it probably is smart to have a guy in the bullpen warming up.
Yeah.
That said, though, if you do that and Hendricks is actually okay, then you're forced to maybe bring that guy in earlier than maybe you want to. I know that doesn't happen very often, but that's the risk that you are going, I guess. And depending on who the pitcher is that you're warming up, I guess, it's kind of like in Game 7, how Joe Madden always said that was the plan, the way they did that, taking Hendricks out when they did and going straight to Lester, like he was already warming up. They weren't going to sit him back down, so obviously these two games in these scenarios are complete different, but I'm just saying I don't disagree that when the third time of the order is coming up, getting a guy up in the bullpen, to warm up is, I can at least meet with you on that. But
we said that
automatically, to just automatically do
it,
though, I don't agree with just automatically after 4 innings. I don't.
No,
agree.
we said that in Cincinnati where he comes in on the third time through. We agreed with that back in right on the trade deadline. I think he had a good game that day, whatever it was. But
he has some good ones. But that's what I'm saying. You have to at least be. You have to be aware that that's the most likely scenario the third time through the order, which is around the fifth inning, right? And at this point, you're looking at three of the best hitters in baseball. So how did you think it was going to go? The last time through, he walked all three of them, and there was a line shot to Busch, who made a nice play that got him out of the inning. So I was fairly confident a run was going to be scored that inning when a runner got on.
No, I think my point was, again, it was we've agreed with that there is especially when it gets to the third time through the order with him, you're running the risk that an inning can go haywire. Sure, you should have a guy up in the bullpen potentially, especially when a guy gets on. But it's also my point was Keegan Thompson has been a lot better against righties versus lefties. If you take out Hendricks right when Chris Taylor comes out or gets the hit, then you get Ohtani, then Mookie Betts, and then Freddie Freeman, and then I can't remember who was batting after Freeman. But you got three lefties coming up, I think, right? And that, so you would have had it was Miguel Rojas got out, Chris Taylor singled, Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy would have been the next four. Had you brought in Keegan Thompson as soon as the first guy got on, and all I'm saying is that his numbers against lefties aren't great this year either. Just to say that this would have been, it's a 4-0 game if you bring in Keegan Thompson. It's not. You don't know that just because it's you have four really good hitters coming up.
I don't know. So I don't know what Keegan's numbers are, but I feel better with Keegan facing anybody than I do third time through the order a 414 batting average, a 478 OBP, and a slugging percentage of 759. And that's not against three of the best hitters in baseball. That's against any team.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was the same story again for Hendricks tonight. It feels like first inning, actually first time through the order. It's crazy because through the prime of Kyle Hendricks' career, he was always notoriously known for giving up a run in the first inning. But this year, for some reason, the first time through the order, he's been really good this year. And the numbers say that. And then the second and the third time, the second time it gets shaky. The second time through the order, I believe he walked Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman back.
All in a row.
Yeah. And then once he lined out to Busch. All right.
Yeah.
And then the third, then he got to the third time, and that's when the Dodgers started scoring runs. It's so crazy how this season has kind of just played itself out the way it has with him in particular, because none of it, outside of the fact that he's older now, that's the only thing that you can point at and be like, yeah, he's older. But we still talked about at the beginning of the season how the pitches and everything still look the same. He just doesn't throw 99. He throws 88, 89. And we're playing in an era now where that's just the likelihood of chaos more often than not happening is higher than it was, I guess, back then. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but also pitchers are throwing extremely harder so much more than even then. So, there's probably many factors to this, but either way, it doesn't make sense to me that he's really good the first time through the order now and not as the game goes along, when through the prime of his career, he always struggled early. And then was better as the game went along.
Damn.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm just trying to poke holes in Luke's theory or his point. It's obviously
Marquis should have just put the stat up and said Stucky stats. That's what they should have called it.
No, I mean the numbers don't lie. We've said that.
It was my guy Chris Kampka. He probably listens to the podcast and jotted that down. Stuckmeyer stats. I better look that up there.
Yeah,
he's they're better than my stats.
We said that we knew that the whole third time through the order thing back when he first got taken out of the rotation back in when it was that May, June, whenever that was. We've known that the numbers aren't new or surprising. I'm just trying to poke holes in Luke's theory for fun. But I mean, I will also say that it's just at that point, I didn't feel really comfortable with anyone. I didn't feel comfortable with anyone coming in that game, considering if they would have taken Hendricks out after that first hit, considering who was coming up for the Dodgers, to be honest. It was going to be really hard, and props to Keegan Townsend for getting out.
It's Ohtani. So.
Did you see the stat? I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was there's been 8 home runs at Dodger Stadium of 450 plus feet this year, and Ohtani has 7 of them. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the stat was. And so it was actually the first time up that I was watching Ohtani face Hendricks, and he actually got him. He had him totally fooled. Ohtani reached for a ball that was like a whole bat outside of the strike zone, right? It was crazy that he swung at it. But I will admit that every single pitch that Kyle Hendricks threw to Shohei Ohtani, I was just like, how far is he going to hit? He's throwing these balls 74 miles an hour, and God love Kyle Hendricks, but I thought this guy is going to send one so far that they won't find it in Los Angeles. And somehow he got through unscathed against him, basically.
Speaking of that stat, I this might have been when they were talking about that too, but they put up another stat that said had the rankings of home runs, the most home runs in ballparks or whatever. And I guess Dodger Stadium leads baseball this year for most home runs. And at first I thought, well, Ohtani's there. But then you look at the home runs for Freeman and Betts, and Freeman has 21 and Betts has 17 or 18. So it's okay, so a lot of teams are coming in there and hitting homers. And Michael Busch's home run, for example, not to take anything away from him, but he hit it 92 miles per hour. And it it's a very low wall there in left field, right? So I'm curious. When they were talking about that, they also just said that Wrigley was bottom 5, 27th. Only 136 homers have been hit there this year. So it's actually been more of a pitcher's park this year than like even I would have expected. I would just assume Wrigley is like middle of the pack because it can be a pitcher's park with the wind blowing in, but then it can be such a hitter's park when the wind's blowing out. And this year, based off that number, it seems like it's been more of a pitcher's park than anything. Doesn't help that the Cubs only have like 120 home run plus guy, but
right.
It was very interesting to me that when they were talking about that.
Yeah, the weather.
Ryan, you missed it. We're going to talk more about the new Cubs Hall of Famers who were inducted over the weekend in just a bit. But first, we want to tell you about Shady Rays. Cody and I had them on in the bleachers on Friday. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And they even have them in Cubs colors. I wear my Shady Rays golfing, driving, fishing, and vibing. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, Ryan can profess this is true. Don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop because their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO. Again, the code CHGO for 35% off your polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. And when you're wearing those shades, by now you all know that we wear Rowback all the time. It's quite simple. Best fit, best feel. Quality gear just speaks for itself. Their performance polos perform better in the heat than any other polos. They're moisture wicking, so the polo doesn't stick to you and has a nice little stretch to it too. Their everyday shorts are also perfect for the combo for a day on the move, and they look clean, and you can use them in the comfort with the elastic waistband. Oh, that's nice too. And with fall right around the corner, what better item to have for yourself than adding one of their performance hoodies in your closet? The softest items we own, and we can't take them off. Collars never lose their shape. They have it all on those polos. They have solids, they have classic stripes, they have fun prints, and in the hoodies, they are designed for comfort and built for activity. And the shorts, they're just incredibly versatile. You can wear them with a polo untucked or a t-shirt on the move. Clean look no matter what the occasion is. So use the code CHGO20. That code is CHGO20 on rowback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with the code CHGO20. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you have lying ahead. I was thinking about, well, first of all, because Mark Pryor goes out to the mound, I always think Kerry Wood, which that happened during the game tonight. And then I was thinking about Freddie Freeman and Ohtani and Betts, and I was trying to think of other groups of 3 that the Cubs have had, right? So Aramis, Ramirez, Soriano, D. Lee. Mm-hmm. How do they stack up? I don't know that they stack up against these guys the Dodgers have, but that was a pretty scary 3. Who would be the 3 that you would like to? Would you say Rizzo, Bryant, and
Schwarber?
Schwarber. Okay.
Or I mean, you could depend if we're strictly going 2016. I'd go Rizzo, Bryant, and
Zobrist,
Zobrist. Yeah, Zobrist
our friend Ben Zobrist.
Fowler.
Yeah, Fowler or Zobrist. Maybe Addison Russell. He did hit 25 bombs that year. So.
It's harder to find the third guy on the 2016 team. I think for sure you say Rizzo, Bryant, but beyond that, I don't know. What did you think of the Hall of Fame stuff? It was a little disappointing. I know, Cody, you were disappointed that when they had it.
Well, okay, so yeah, I tweeted about it last night, but I didn't realize that they do the Hall of Fame weekend like the same weekend they've done the last.
I was going to say the weekend after Labor Day. It seems.
Yeah.
The thing is, the last 3 years.
The thing is that I mean the schedule for next year is already out. Like we know this. They knew that the Yankees were coming to town and Rizzo could be here. I'm not saying that you have to be upset about it or whatever. I just felt like the weekend was kind of ruined for Kerry Wood and Aramis Ramirez. Like when Aramis Ramirez was shown on the video board at Wrigley on Friday, it's like I didn't even realize that they were here. I had no idea. It was so the Rizzo stuff was so overshadowed in my opinion. That like and deservingly so because of who he is and what he did for the organization. I just feel like Kerry Wood and Aramis Ramirez deserve their own weekend where you knew that there wasn't going to be anything that was going to take anything away. So you can take my 2 cents about the fact that it's the same weekend that the NFL season started. Fine, because that it's the same weekend every year. Fine, but you have like if you're the Cubs and you see, oh, the Yankees are scheduled the same weekend that we're going to do this, like I don't know, I just feel like it's not good in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know. You couldn't do it last weekend because they were away. You can't do it this weekend because they're away, or this upcoming weekend because they're away. Like you do it too late in September, you run the risk of like, hey, this is Cubs maybe in the playoff push, right?
You had an entire season to plan it out, Ryan.
I mean,
That's
sure,
all
if you want to do it earlier in the season, this is the time they do it,
Right.
That's just how. I mean, I don't know how long they've been doing it, to be honest, but like the last 3 years, I know it's been around this weekend.
I think it's just been the 3 years because they didn't have Statue Row until like a year or two ago.
I know Aramis.
What you're saying,
Ramirez even said
why does it have to be set in stone? Like.
Right. And that's my thing is like, it doesn't have to be that same weekend every year. Like I understand the fact that, okay, they do it the same weekend since they started this whole Cubs Hall of Fame thing, which again, I believe it was after 2022
I think it was
or whatever.
2022.
Yeah. So it's been a 2-year thing. Right. And again, when the schedule comes out, it comes out well in advance. So if you have a problem with like planning a weekend for all the alumni to come and all this, it's like, well, the schedule comes out so far in advance. It's like, I don't know. It just bothers me that Rizzo's return overshadowed it. And that's it.
I guess I just don't feel the same way because the whole ceremony stuff was on Sunday. So they still, like, regardless of like Ramirez was like a little more celebrated Friday, Kerry Wood was a little more celebrated Saturday. The big ceremony, the induction, everything was still Sunday. So I feel like they still had their own day at the end of Rizzo's return stuff. I guess the one thing I'd agree with is like they just promote it more. You said, I don't know how many people knew it was this weekend. Like I only knew because of we got like a media notification about it like earlier in the week that I even remembered it. Like I think more promotion of it would help it, but I think more promotion of it would have helped. But I do think that like there's still 39-something thousand fans in attendance Sunday, still got their big warm reception, and I think that was all still cool.
Yeah.
I think I feel differently about all that. I just think I think they could have promoted it a little bit more, made sure more people knew about it, especially considering the rest of the stuff that was going on this weekend.
I mean, Luke,
both guys obviously deserved it too. It's not like we're saying they don't deserve it. Who's next, Cody? They're kind of going through decades, right?
Right. So I would say so they're going to go 2010. So,
or they could,
D. Lee could still be in there, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soriano.
So yeah, I mean Derek Lee deserves to be in there. Also, I did see the pic. I think Ryan Dempster posted this on his Instagram, just like some real like throwback players from like the 2000s. I think Paul Bacco was at Wrigley this weekend.
Really?
I'm like, oh my god.
There's a ton of guys up in that suite where they had Wood and Ramirez. I know like Ted Willie was there.
Glennon Rush was here.
He's always here. Yeah.
He's always here, but still, like, it's some real throwbacks for us millennials, So
I've got a good game for us coming up. Today I spent a little bit of time going through some boxes from my parents' house, and one of the boxes was filled with baseball cards. Not the good ones, not the kind that you would put in a plastic sleeve. This was just a box of others. And as a kid, I had them separated by team, right? I had a rubber band around them. Like, these are all the players I have from this team. Any year. I mean, literally, you're talking from like 1977 to the, whenever I stopped collecting baseball cards. There are some. And so I just started going through them just to make sure I didn't have, like Ken Griffey Jr. in there or something, like his rookie year, whatever. And I'm flipping through these cards. I have some. We're going to play a game this offseason. I'm going to pull out the card and I'm going to describe a player. And we're going to see if anybody in the chat or anybody anywhere can come up with some of the names. Because I'll be honest, there's at least a dozen guys that I don't even remember ever playing for the Cubs or in the major leagues. And I was like, is this a real card?
There's this website, I think it's called Batter Up. Yeah. There's this website called Batter Up where it shows like a silhouette of a guy's swing, and it gives you like 5 different categories, like what division they played in and like the team they played for, and like all these things. And you make a guess, and it like narrows it down for you, and you just keep guessing until you get it.
Maybe that's what we'll do with these cards. We'll just take the silhouette of the card. Some of them are, back in this, some of them aren't even like action shots. It's just like a headshot of a guy, or it's like some weird shot of him, like a, a high school senior picture. They're just ridiculous. So anyways,
I like, someone in the chat says Big Z for Cubs Hall of Fame. That's a name.
Oh, that's a big one. That could be one, Zambrano, especially with the no-hitter.
Yeah, Big Z.
No, I think for sure.
Dealey and Zambrano
up for it.
Yeah, Dealey and Zambrano. I mean, Soriano for sure will go in there at some point too. If it's up to me, Sammy Sosa goes in next year too. So
yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah, I know.
Luke probably has a better shot at getting in next year than Sammy.
Yeah,
so we're still on that. We're still on that.
I mean, I guess
Stuckmeyer for Cubs Hall of Fame train.
Right. If I had to see Luke go in before Sammy, at least I could say that someone I personally know got in the Cubs Hall of Fame.
And that steroids still came through. With all the steroids for my asthma and stuff.
That's true. That's true.
That's probably why I wouldn't get a vote. All the steroids.
For sure.
What do you think? What about the matchup tomorrow? You think that's the one of the matchups we will get next year when they play in Japan?
I mean, yeah,
I would think so, right?
I would
think they would schedule it that way.
Yeah. If they don't do that, it's such a mess up by both teams and MLB or whatever. Like, that's the whole reason that we're going to Japan. This is the whole reason why we need to start emailing all our friends in Denver to convince them to let us go to Japan.
I mean, obviously provided health for both guys. Like, that's a no-brainer matchup to have in Japan in one of those 2 games. As far as tomorrow goes, I mean, Imanaga is like, can he make that? I mean, I do think he's been like very like silently good to the point where like he's not near the top of the Rookie of the Year race, when I feel like he should be more talked about in that. Like, obviously Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill, like those guys have been really good. But Shota Imanaga has been really good too. And I think he's not talked about enough in the Rookie of the Year race.
I think he's getting disrespected because he's 30.
Maybe it's possible, but it's like a rookie, but not really a rookie. Maybe
he's technically a rookie.
I mean, at one point we were talking about how he was like the ERA leader. I mean, like he was at the top of baseball. I know it was Assad and him, but like he was the best pitcher in baseball for a decent stretch this season.
Yeah, and I know his numbers haven't stayed there, or like they've obviously gotten worse over the season than when he had like a sub-1 ERA or whatever it was for a while. But I do think he's been really good. I think he hasn't been talked about enough in that. But to your original question, like him, this is Yamamoto's return game after a couple months on the IL, right? If I'm not mistaken. Like,
I think so.
A game or a situation that potentially the Cubs can take advantage of a guy coming off the IL. And with Shota on the bomb for him, I don't remember how many games they've won out of his whenever he starts. I know it's pretty high. I think you actually feel really good about that. That Imanaga is going to go out there and give this Cubs team a chance to win, despite the fact that he's pitching against a very good Dodgers lineup. I think you feel good about that.
The Cubs did face Yamamoto back in April, so it's not like they've never seen him before. Yamamoto shoved that day, but it's not like they've never seen him before. And then, of course, coming off injury, I expect there to be rust. So if the Cubs are going to mess around and somehow win the series tomorrow, like they got to score early off him, because if he knocks some of that rust off after the first time through the lineup and the Cubs don't score, they're not going to win that game. Like they won tonight. Like we were talking about the pitching in the second segment, and like the pitching was overall good. Smiley gave up the homer to Betts and Hendricks, that whole saga, but overall, like it was pretty solid. But they won the game because they scored 10 runs and their pitchers weren't even stressed. Hendricks he led 3-0 when he went out for the first inning. It's been the whole thing all season. Like this team doesn't know how to score runs consistently. Scored 2 runs all weekend. Scored 10 today. Doesn't make any sense. So I'm expecting the old classic 2-run Cubs tomorrow. All right. Even with Yamamoto coming back, haven't pitched in months. We've had this conversation too many times, Luke.
Yeah,
too many times.
We have. What we haven't talked about yet tonight is the fact that Ryan was out playing softball before the game. And once again, the best team in Chicago sports right now
in the CHGO era
is the CHGO sports softball team.
Yeah.
Trying for back-to-back. One away from back-to-back.
One of the few champions this city's seen since the launch of CHGO.
Us in the sky.
Who are we playing?
Maybe? We are having a rematch with Odyssey in the championship game. No, it was a very good overall. I don't remember the final score. It was like 14-3 or 15-3. I know we gave up 1 run at the top of the first. Came back immediately, scored 3, and just played really solid defense overall for the rest of the game. I did make 1 error at third base, but we were up by enough. Hey, we were up by enough runs where it didn't matter. And prior to that, I was 2 for 3, couple RBIs. Like I had made up for it.
Okay.
But look, our softball team is really good. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but
what about next week is the championship? Aren't the Cubs at home?
That's a conversation I'm going to have. That's a very serious conversation I'm going to have with our GM, Jake Flanagan.
Hey, can I go to our softball game instead of work?
Your baseball writer's geek card could be revoked if they find out you're not going to the game for a softball game.
Well,
I mean, listen, we got to go back to back. So
Jared needs a certain amount of games covered to keep his Baseball Writers Association of America card. Like, I don't know where he's at in that, but maybe he needs 1 more before the season ends. And, I guess we'll see, right? Like, I'm more than willing to help out our friend, our colleague, Jared Willis, keep his BBWA card. So if he needs it, it's more than willing to step aside and let him take that game.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game. Our team just consistently felt like every inning was adding on, was playing good defense all over. Mark Carmen even got a couple hits there.
Wow,
Who would have thought? The old guy got a couple hits. He did this weird. So he was like on second base. Someone got a hit, and Carm's like little jog, right? There's when he's walking a little faster, he does this thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He did that all the way home. Didn't speed up as he was nearly thrown out home, and like the ball beat him to home plate, and he just did this Mexican hat dance around the ball as the guy's trying to tag him, steps on home and is somehow safe. And we're all just like, what the hell happened? How did he not get tagged? Because there's a video, there's a live stream of it, and
he's got a bum Achilles.
I'll find the clip of it because it was insane to see and insane to think they didn't tag him out. But overall, very good effort, and looking forward, even if I cannot play, looking forward to seeing CHGO against Odyssey in the championship game next week.
Big of me to say, support Ryan. not doing his job to go help us win the
softball
championship. Yes. I have not been playing like the last month and a half. I have not showed up, but I think it's largely because of work. And then also like tonight, like I could have gone, but like
850.
I know. Oh, they haven't lost when I play. You know, I also didn't want to risk that record, but also, you know, I could have gone tonight, but I also didn't want to get on my electric bike and ride all the way over to Wicker Park. So, you know, it is what it is. I also wanted to sweat out my Prize Picks card, and it panned out for me. So
plus
$200 richer than I was this morning, Luke.
It's nice. That's nice.
There you go.
Hey, want to give a shout out to all the new diehards that have signed up. We had just a huge run of diehard memberships right before the start of Bear season, and we hope to have that continue here. And we also don't want to forget to thank everybody that's been in the live YouTube chat. That's the best way to enjoy the CHGO experience. Subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. You can catch us on Roku now. We're on the Roku channel. But what do we got? We had almost 100 people in here at one point at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
For this team that's got a 1% chance of making the postseason. So, you know, tip of the cap to all the regulars.
Also, shout out to everyone who came to our takeovers this year. We sold out all of them. Yep. And I would say the one on Friday was, I mean, obviously for emotional reasons, was my favorite one of the year. And I think if, you know, the things didn't happen to Braggs in Milwaukee, I would probably put that one above it. But it is what it is.
It'll probably work out for Braggs.
That's true, but there was that's true, but there was also
a major league team pretty soon.
You know, there was still like a sad feeling after the Milwaukee one. Yeah. Not because of us, but because Milwaukee doesn't know how to fix their escalators. But
I was happy to see that another one of our fans and viewers that was injured on that escalator with Braggs was back at the game on Friday for the takeover. So that was cool too.
Yeah, we had a good turnout. We really did for this last one. So looking forward to doing more takeovers in 2025 for hopefully a better team. But we can't do it without everyone's support. So it means a lot. So I just wanted to bring that up because we don't say it enough, Luke. We don't do this. We can't have success if we don't have the people in the YouTube chat and the people who come to our events and, you know, our real diehards that are in our Discord doing what they do. We can't get where we want to go without them. So it means a lot.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. No, tomorrow night. Will it be Wednesday morning? It just depends on the timing of the game. Thank goodness we will be remote tomorrow.
I can't believe they're all night games this week.
Yeah, all 3 night games
tonight. Tonight, if
Brendan is throwing a celebration. Brendan's celebrating the fact that they're all night games.
He didn't jump in here, but that's all right.
Because I'm not emotionally tied to the rest of the season, I thought I was going to have a Luke and fall asleep at some point during this. But they kept scoring runs, so I was entertained. Yeah. And I was on my couch, so it was just like, all right, well, I don't have to.
Great defensive plays, too. It was a pretty fun game to watch, actually.
It was, yeah. And it actually kind of went fast first 5 innings. Kind of.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, fly the W. We all silly like the mayor.